Okay, you can start your class.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to STEM Lockdown Digital School. My name is Sibusiso Masumbuka, and I'm your grade 10 life orientation educator. There are my details right over there. You guys can contact me, ask for any queries if you have any queries. Yesterday and a couple of days, we also discussed chapter 3, which was careers and career choices. Yesterday, we looked at being, belonging, as well as becoming. All right, today we're going to be discussing a topic that is very dear to my heart and I think should be dear to all of us as patriots of South Africa, because I think we all need to, in this very difficult time, we need to create um, a mode and an activity of patriotism, especially because of what we're going through as a country. So we're going to be discussing democracy and human rights. Guys, this is such a very sensitive topic, and we're going to be discussing topics that might trigger a lot of controversy, but I would like for us to use this platform to learn more about these things so that we don't, so that we can try and redress the past inequalities of our country, and also at the same time to uplift ourselves and to upskill ourselves so that we can go back and educate everybody else around us. So we're going to be discussing democracy and human rights. I just want to All right. And at the end of the lesson, you guys will know what diversity, discrimination, and human rights violations are. We're going to dabble into our Bill of Rights and other human rights instruments. So that's what we're going to be learning about today. I hope you guys are ready to learn and engage with the content. I see we have a couple of participants. Welcome back to all the learners that are joining us again, and a very warm welcome to all the learners that are joining us for the very, very first time. Um, all right. So, before I start about democracy, I think South Africa is such, and not that I think, I know that South Africa is such a beautiful country with so many diverse people and so many with diverse cultures and diverse religions. And it is a country that is accepting of each and every one of us, whether it comes to gender, our cultures, our religions, our sexualities. Um, and it's such a beautiful country to be in, and we have such a beautiful constitution that accommodates each and every one of us. And South Africa promotes, the constitution promotes equality, it promotes equity, and it promotes peace as well as inclusivity. And I'm very happy to be discussing this with you guys today. And I hope that you guys will listen attentively and you will learn. And like I said earlier, we'll be able to share some of the stuff that we learned today with the people around you as well. All right. So, as you guys know, that in 1994, South Africa had their first democratic election. And what a democracy is a form of government in which people exercise authority of government. Uh, uh, People are and it describes who people are and how authority is shared among them. Um, are core issues for democratic development and constitution. Some cornerstones of these issues are freedom of assembly and speech, inclusiveness. Inclusiveness means that we're including everybody. It's the opposite of excluding people, all right? And equality, membership, consent, voting, right to life, and minority rights. Minority rights are the rights for the people who are previously marginalized, or people who are of a minority population. For example, your homosexual people, your disabled people as well. All right. Generally, there are two types of democracy: direct and representative. In a direct democracy, the people directly deliberate and decide on legislature. Legislature is obviously the laws that we need to abide by, and the laws um, that are discussed in Parliament. We all know that Parliament is in Cape Town. So in South Africa, we've got two capital cities, which is Pretoria as well as Cape Town. Cape Town is the legislative city of South Africa. That is where Parliament is, where laws are made. And then Pretoria is the administrative city of South Africa, capital city of South Africa. And a representative democracy, the people elect a representative to deliberate and decide on legislature. So you guys know that our parents, if you also, once you turn 18 and you're able to vote, you'll be able to decide on who represents you to deliberate and decide on the laws of our country, such as parliamentary or presidential democracy. Liquid democracy combines elements of these two basic types. All right, the most common decision-making approach of democracies has been majority rule. So you guys know that every 4 years we vote for a political party to rule in our provincial government as well as national government, and it is the party that gets the majority of votes that then gets to rule in either the provincial government or the national government as well. Others are supermajority as well as consensus. So you guys know in your own school, you guys are able to vote for what we call the Representative Council of Learners, which are RCLs. You guys know that in grade 8 to 12, each class needs to have either a boy or girl to represent the learners in that class, and you all elect or nominate and elect the Representative Council of Learners who get to represent you on the school governing body. So you guys get to decide what rules and laws should be on your own school code of conduct. So it's amazing that we also get to exercise democracy even in our own schools, and that we have our voice. It's so important to know that our votes are our voices. We get to decide. We get to choose who we want to rule and run our country. All right, which is something that did not happen previously. Now let's look at the Constitution. So some of you might have received this little book here. That is the Constitution of our country. I have tons of these books, and I always give them out to learners because it's so important for us to know what is in the Constitution. And our Constitution has the Bill of Rights, which we'll have a bit of information on a bit later. It says here the Constitution of South Africa is the supreme law of the Republic of South Africa. That means that the Constitution is the highest law in South Africa, and nobody is above the law in South Africa, which is beautiful because if you go to other countries who run an autocratic leadership or management style, um, they don't where it's a one way of communication where the leader or the president always talks down to everybody else and doesn't necessarily listen to what everybody else has to say. We're quite privileged to be living in a country where we can decide on who rules us and so on and so forth. All right. The Constitution provides the legal foundation for the existence of the Republic. It sets out the rights and duties of its citizens and defines the structure of government. In grade 8 EMS, you guys learn about the three levels of government. We learned about local government, which looks at municipal cities and metropolitan cities. We looked at, and then provincial government looks at the province. You guys know that we have 9 provinces, and the people that run those provinces are what we call premiers, and the different people that run the different departments in provincial government are then called MECs. And then on national government, we then have the president as well as the president as well as his cabinets and the ministers, as well as we have a judicial system, which is then the law. All right. So it's so important for you to also link what you've learned in other subjects and link it up with what you guys are learning today, especially about our constitution. All right, let's get right into it. The first thing that we're going to learn is about diversity. Diversity means being different. It refers to the difference about many aspects of human beings, such as race, religion, belief system, culture, language, gender, age, health status, a place of birth, and where you stay. So I want you to please comment on the chat box and let me know what are some of the things that you love about South Africa. What are some of the things that you love about South Africa? Please let me know in the chat box. I'd be really interested to find out about what you guys think about South Africa on a positive light, guys. Let's look at it at a positive light, because as you guys can see how excited I am about speaking about our own country. I'm quite a patriot about South Africa. All right. So again, it says diversity means being different. All right. So we are all different. All right. Each and every one of us are unique, and we're different in many different ways. And we all have our own individual differences, and we all need to respect that. Our races, um, viewer says that the one learner says they love the food. Absolutely, South African food is amazing. And obviously, we know that our food comes from our different and vast number of cultures that we have. We have 11 official languages. Um, viewer says that we are all united. Absolutely love that response. All right. So we're all different in our races, our religion, our cultures, and so on and so forth. All right. Ubuntu, which is a common African philosophy that we all know about and we've learned even when we did life orientation in primary school. It says here Ubuntu is an African philosophy that is based on care and understanding, on our connectedness to each other, our shared humanity, and the desire to understand and respect each other. The reason why it's so important for us to acknowledge our differences is so that we can understand and respect each other. Okay? It's so important for you to know that. It is so that we can understand and respect each other. And then here you guys can see that we have a diverse team over here, people of different races, people of different abilities as well. You know, I really don't like the word disability. I think just for the purpose of this lesson, we'll call it disability. But you know what? A common phrase that I like to use is people who are differently abled. All right. Ubuntu. I've got a coach here that says, I am who I am because of who you are," and that is what Ubuntu is. All right, I've got another quote here. It says, Ubuntu speaks of the very essence of being human. We say, hey, so and so has Ubuntu. Then you are generous, you are hospitable, you are friendly and caring, as well as compassionate. You share what you have. It is to say, my humanity is caught up. Inextricably bound up. Inextricably means that inextricably means that you are. It is very difficult to separate certain things. All right, in yours, we belong in a bundle of life. We say a person is a person through other persons. All right, a person with Ubuntu is open and available to others, affirming others, does not feel threatened that others are able and are good, for he or she has a proper self-assurance that comes from knowing that he or she belongs in a greater whole and is diminished when others are humiliated or diminished when others are tortured or oppressed or treated as if they were less than who they are. So it's so important for us to have Ubuntu. You know, and this was said by Desmond Tutu, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, who is a Nobel Peace Prize winner and a political leader as well. And he also introduced the idea of a rainbow nation. Um, all right, now let's look at discrimination. All right, um, discrimination means to treat people unfairly and differently. When you discriminate, you deny people their rights, power, and privileges. So to discriminate is to violate or abuse other people's human rights. For example, some people discriminate against people who have TB, who are living with HIV or AIDS, who are young or older, people who live or come from rural or urban areas, people who live with albinism, and people who belong to different cultural groups. All right, so it's so important for us to understand what discrimination is. Tico says, what does it mean to be compassionate? To be compassionate is to be to exercise empathy, to love, to care, and to appreciate other people, and that is what compassion means. All right, let's look at human rights violations. Human rights are rules to help everybody live together in peace, safety, and happiness. People violate or abuse human rights when they do not follow these rules. So you guys know, like I said, in the constitutional book, we have the Bill of Rights, and in the Bill of Rights, all the rights, all our rights as as South African citizens and people that live in South Africa. It's so important that our constitution also covers people who come into our country and live here as well. So it doesn't mean that just because you have South African citizenship that you are the only person that has these rights. Each and every person that has these rights needs to follow them through and has these rights as well. Um, okay, so you guys can see all the different types of human rights violation. Some bit of slavery there. Here's hunger and starvation, and here is somebody a monk who wants to exercise his religion and belief system, but cannot. Because of human rights violations. So it's so important for us to understand that. All right. Examples of human rights violations. Example: human trafficking. Let's look at human trafficking. Human trafficking is a global illegal transport of people across international and local borders. To be trafficked means to be taken against your will, or tricked into going into with traffickers or criminals who then sell you. You may be bought and sold and transported into slavery. If you guys know of of human trafficking instances, please share on the comments on the chat box so that we can discuss it here in our class. All right. For example, for sexual exploitation and forced marriage, to work in shops or factories for no pay, to beg, to provide money for your capturers, to harvest and sell your organs such as kidneys, to work on farms or do domestic work. And here I've got a toll-free line where you guys can report human traffickers. And guys, it's so easy to be human trafficked lately, especially with social media and having to speak to strangers that we don't know, and people offering us job opportunities, study opportunities. And once you meet that person, then the next thing you know, then you're trafficked and then sent to another country to either work there, sell drugs, prostitute yourself, and all different types of really, really ugly things. So the last thing that we want is to be human trafficked. Oratile says here, a forced marriage. Absolutely, we see it all the time, or we hear about it all the time. All right, I'd like to read some of your other responses over there. All right, now let's look at Unit 2, which is our Bill of Rights and other human rights instruments. The South African Bill of Rights, like I said, it's in our Constitution. It's Chapter 2 of our Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is our Bill of Rights. It lists our human rights and that are protected in South Africa. These rights are based on dignity. To dignify somebody is to respect somebody. It is based on democracy. Like I said, democracy means that we have a voice, the ability to vote and to choose who governs us. Equality means to treat everybody the same, as well as freedom. All right. Now let's look at the right to equality. This right is the most violated one in South Africa. According to a 2017 report by South African Human Rights Commission, the right states that everyone is equal and must be treated equally. No one has the right to discriminate against you based on your race, gender, sex, marital status, ethnic or social origin, color, sexual orientation, age, disability, religion, conscious, which is your belief as well, your belief system, your culture, language, or birth, among others. All right, and then let's look at some of the human rights. We have so many that we can discuss, but I want you to also tell me, if you guys can also just link up as I continue with the slides, what are some of the other rights that you guys know of? And it would also be nice that when I read the rights, you get to tell me, what do you think your responsibility is? Because it's so important. It's so easy for us to just throw around and say, I've got the right to education, but yet again, we disrespect our teachers in the school. I want you to tell me I'm going to discuss the rights, and you can also then on the comment box tell me what do you think are some of your responsibilities. Guys, there's no right or wrong answers. I really want you guys to be able to express yourself with this regard. Let's look at the first one, human dignity. It says everyone has inherent dignity and the right to have their own dignity respected. So we should be respected for who we are and our differences. All right. The right to life. Everyone has the right to life, and nobody, not even the state, which is our government, has the right to take a life. So you guys know about euthanasia, euthanasia, which is the killing of somebody based mainly because of the fact that they are too sick, or it's better off that they're actually dead than if they're alive. Um, but actually, euthanasia is actually against our constitution, because here it says that we have the right to life. All right. Um, all right. I'm going to continue reading some of the rights. I saw a question that would like to address. And Siko says, how do you react to family members who force, who always emphasize on that men are more higher than women? All right, Siko, very good question. I don't even remember, but when we spoke about patriarchy, when we earlier on when we did the development of the self in society, we said that it's absolutely wrong, and we said that patriarchy is usually practiced in our own cultures, and we see it in our own homes as well. It's absolutely not right. Men are definitely not higher than women. Men and women are actually very, very equal. And whatever man can do, a woman can also do. All right. All right, absolutely. Thank you so much for your comments, guys. The right to freedom and security. All right, the right to personal privacy. I like to read this one. It says here, and no one, not even the government, has the right to search your house or property, or even have your possessions seized without the following correct channels. The government cannot infringe on privacy of your communication. This includes opening your mails or listening to your phone calls. All right, freedom of expression, a beautiful right to have, especially because we're all so different and we all have something to say. It says here, South Africans have the freedom to say, write, or print what they want, but this right must never violate anyone else's rights or break the law in any way. So in you expressing yourself and having this right, it's so important that you guard what you say. Make sure that whatever you say does not violate or hinder on anyone else's growth or prosperity. Um, all right, freedom of association is another right that we have. All right, we also have political rights. Political rights says here every citizen has the right to form a political party, to participate in activities of, or to recruit members for a political party, and to campaign for a political party or a cause. So important for us to know that. All right, education, the right to education. Everyone has the right to basic education. So you guys know basic education is grade R to grade 12, including adult basic education and to further education. So if you guys know of anyone that is of your age and you know that they're not in school, you know that their right is being violated. Um, right. Seeing some, is it true? All right. I don't want to necessarily comment on other countries' governments, but let's just stick on to the South African government for now. It says here also healthcare, food, water, and social services. Everyone has the right to access healthcare services, including reproductive healthcare, sufficient food and water, and social security, including um, if they are able to support themselves and their dependents, appropriate social assistance. Remember yesterday we spoke about the services that are provided by the government through the taxes that we pay, hence that is why education is somewhat free in South Africa. Basic education is free in South Africa, and as well as healthcare and other social services that we have. All right, let's. Another one is citizenship. No one's South African citizenship can ever be taken away from them. All right, we also have the right to housing, and then children. All children have the right to parental care, shelter, and food. Children may not be neglected or abused or forced to work. You guys know that if you're under 15, you're not allowed to work. You need to be over 16 to be of age to work. All right. Just reading to some of your comments there. All right. Um, let's look at national and international instruments that protect human rights. All right. So it says here these are the tools used to fight against discrimination and abuse of rights. For example, the African Charter of Rights and Welfare of Children. It aims to ensure that children's rights are not violated. And then we also have another instrument which is called the Convention on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women. So you guys know that women, children, are also known as the marginalized people in our country, the people that were who what we call historically disadvantaged individuals. So just to clarify on that, previously disadvantaged individuals and what we call historically disadvantaged individuals are people who are black, people who are women, um, people who weren't afforded an opportunity. Disabled people also fall under this category. All right, and what we have in our country right now are things such as BE and affirmative action that try and create equity and giving those people who are historically disadvantaged an opportunity to work and so on and so forth. And then another instrument or agent that fights against discrimination and abuse of rights is the Youth Fitness and Wellness Charter that aims to contribute to nation building, to enhance the general well-being, and to improve the quality of life and of all young South Africans. All right, protection agencies look after your human rights and protect you from the violation of human rights. For example, we've got the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies, which helps to provide relief and aid to poor and war-torn countries as well as communities. And then we also have UNICEF, a very, very popular one. We all probably have heard of the UNICEF. Um, and UNICEF works for children as rights and children's survival, development, and protection. And then we also have the United Nations Security Council, which is authorities of peacekeeping forces. All right. All right. Um, and then there's a quote here, and this is how I would like just before I would like to end off my lesson, actually, I would just like to hear what are some of your thoughts about the rights in South Africa. You guys need to speak up as the youth of South Africa, but also at the same time be right. What do you guys think about some of the human rights that we have here in South Africa? I think we live in such an awesome, awesome country. Um, you know, and yes, I know that and express that children should not be working, and anyone who works under the age of 16, and that's also known as child labor, which is a human right violation in our country. All right. um, just trying to read for some of your comments here. All right. I want to end off today's lesson by a quote that is said by Malala, who is a Pakistani Nobel Peace Prize winner. And she says, and I want you to take this with you and to express this in your own societies as well. It says, I speak not for myself, but for those without a voice, those who have fought for their right to live in peace, their right to be treated with dignity, their right to equality of opportunity, and their right to be educated. So it's so, so important for us. You know, we've all learned what our human rights are, and even in your textbooks, as well as the constitution that you guys might have, or that is also available on the internet as well. It's so important for us to learn our rights so that we can know when our rights are being violated, so that we can also protect other people that are around us who don't have the same knowledge, in our country about our rights. It's so important for us to take whatever we've learned in today's lesson and be able to educate other people. See this as an opportunity for you to educate other people. So go through the human rights. Today I'm going to give you a bit of homework. Go through the South African Constitution. Read. Look at what the children rights say. And it's very common that in the exams that you guys write that you're asked about some of your human rights. So it's so important for you guys to learn about your rights and know what they mean. All right. Okay. Again, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Very, very glad that a lot of you came to join us again today. Please join me every weekday again at 9 a.m. for grade 10 life orientation lessons. Tomorrow, we're going to be continuing with democracy and human rights, and we're going to be discussing discriminating behavior and human rights violation. Sometimes you know of your rights, you know what discrimination is, and you try by all means to treat other people in the right way, but sometimes in the way we express ourselves, we don't know that we actually might be violating somebody else. So we're going to be learning about discriminating behaviors as well as human rights violation, and we're also going to be looking at how to challenge prejudice and discrimination as well. All right, guys, again, if you want to get a hold of me on social media, it's boo_m on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Please also follow African Teen Geeks on Facebook as they will update you. Go onto their website. If you want to tweet or Instagram about us, you guys can use the hashtag STEM Champions, Lockdown eSchool, Cecil Foundation. And then my email address is right over there. I've been getting a lot of emails from you guys, interesting responses to the lessons that you guys have been having, and all of them are very positive. And thank you so much for your support and for participating in our lessons. My Google Classroom code is C2KA3IC, and all the stuff is available. The stuff is also available on the Lockdown website, so please visit them. Thank you so much for joining me today. See you all tomorrow, bright and early at 9 o'clock. Thank you so much for joining me today. Bye bye.